Okay, so here we are at the beginning of our dodgeball game with Slavik. Slavik has thrown W-GBHFUAT at me. So it's Colony Wars, so there's always a bit of nonsense. We've got some gambits just for short measure and some heroes with the tech to kind of clog up and play around with that row availability, and then bases and fleets. So it could be a very basey format. Let's see what happens. We're going second, so Slavik goes first, picks up a hero, and then smuggles that base. So clearly knows what he wants. He wants bases. We probably have to deprive him of those. So what we're going to do here is we're going to buy the scrapper because War Elder is great. Then we're going to scrap to draw. I'm not so worried about the damage in this game. We draw the scout, which is what we're looking for. We're on an 80% chance to do that, because what that enables us to do is to then go in hard and buy that supply depot. I should probably have scrapped the Viper here, but I forgot about that. So first punt of the day. However, we missed the square deck, but we're in it. We've got a supply depot. We're pretty good. He's buying a draw there. He's going to draw, presumably greeding into both the trade raft and the Chairman Hagen. There we go. So he's stocking up his life total, trying to get an ally for the raft later on, and bam. Now he has a base, and whilst we have supply depot, we really want to be using that for trade where possible. So we need damage. So we're going to buy damage. We're going to buy Blob Bob. It's great. It goes well here. We could save the War Elder to try and get that double scrap an ally off the supply bob. But what we're going to do is we're going to buy that hero. We're going to scrap out the Viper. We don't want it. With that 5 damage, we've got enough there to take his base out. So Slavik here going to ally. He's going to draw that base. Then he's going to buy another one of the same. Oof, that's not great news, because if they get going, they are really, really bad news. But he drops us a gunship, and we are interested in that. We'd like to draw all the cards. Now we're gonna buy the customs frigate there, and then instead of getting the gunship, which we would actually like, we're going to take the Alliance transport. We don't want him gaining all that life, and it also gives us something to ally with supply depot. And if he does end up getting enough, which he probably will, because we deliberately left the base out by going economy, he's probably going to have enough for the Star Fortress here. It's going to leave gunship for us anyway. So let's see what happens. We're flipping deck. In he comes. He gets rid of our supply depot. That's an easy in. He draws. He probably drew that, otherwise he would have played it first. And then sure enough, he's got enough for Star Fortress. Bang, and in for the damage. But what this does is it means we can buy the gunship, which we do. It drops Incinerator. Kind of good, kind of bad, depends on what our hand looks like. But it means that when we get rid of this base, and we do take a scrapper, we want to keep scrapping out. It's a solid plan. There's very little aggression coming from Slavik here. What we're looking for here is, we don't get it, we're looking to try and make a run on that Incinerator. Unfortunately, Slavik here gets all the draws, gets his other base, buys all the blues, so still going greedy on that trade, clearly thinking he'll beat us to Incinerator. We actually can't get there, so we're going to buy the tech. That then allows us to reveal, luckily enough, a cargo pod, which we're going to draw. We cannot leave Star Fortress out here, so we only had 5 damage without something, and it would have been an Explorer if it hadn't been the cargo pod, but still. We have to draw that. We blew up the hero so that we got the 4 damage from the customs frigate. Now we're going to get a Hagen into the tank so that we have something to ally. We're going to buy that Cunning Captain. It does unfortunately put out the fighter base, but it does mean we get rid of Star Fortress, which is good to get rid of, and bad news if it stays. And it also means, which is again good and bad, it means that blue base is staying out to miss out into the next deck, and hopefully we can kill it quickly so that he can't gain lots of damage. We're going to discard the Cunning Captain there, try and force his hand into losing his run on Incinerator. What's actually going to happen is he's going to draw into exactly all the trade he needs. That Viper is staying on the bottom of his deck, and he's going to get the Incinerator. But we pick up a gunship. It's not too bad. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to use our gunship to get rid of his base. Now we have a pretty decent hand. It's doing a lot. Going to pick up the fighter base. I think he has to at this point, because otherwise we're starting to threaten with a couple scrappers. We're starting to threaten a discard lock in the late game if he doesn't do something about that. He's got a very big deck, which is kind of what we need to leverage against him. We're going to draw here. Not going to get anything to pair with our scrap, so we're just going to buy a hive. We're going to hit damage and hit for face. We aren't too sad about these things staying out. But again, Slavik still like pushing hard down on that trade. It's draw as well. Solar Skiff always a good card. He does buy the Parasite, but he can't get rid of our supply depot, which is going to be critical here. Now, I like to scrap, but I also like a Moonworm, so we are going to yeet that scrapper straight into heaven, and we're going to discard it for trade, and we're going to buy that Moonworm because that is a great pickup. Slavik again is going to he's going to pick up the Star Fortress. He's going to get some damage. He's going to be drawing basically the rest of his deck here. He's going to pick up an Incinerator, but he flips the deck whilst doing it, so he's been a bit unlucky there. I'm not sure if there was an opportunity to, it was probably the last card in his deck, but if there had been an opportunity to scrap from the discard, that would have obviously been great, but he can't. But he does pick up the allied base there, which is a very credible threat to picking up. This is what we were kind of worried about, the base wall that's kind of burgeoning here. So we're just going to plop down our things. We are going to pick up that allied battleship, or aged battleship, sorry. And we've got 12 damage, which is important because we need to get rid of both of those outposts. We don't want to leave him with one base that he can then ally, get a card and some authority with. We bottomed our yellows, and that would have been super bad news because there's two of them. So he's going to pick up a bit of tech. Again, not heavy on damage here, and he drops a Zhang, which is phenomenal for us because that gives us 5 trade. We're going to just straight into Commodore Zhang. Gives us a 3rd discard for this turn. Also importantly, gives us that 10th point of damage, or rather the 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th point of damage to get rid of those bases. Now we're also here. The discard 3, we didn't feel like we needed to pop the gunship to buy the tractor beam. On 2 cards in hand, Slavik's probably not well placed to get it, but we are eyeing that because if he gets it, that's really bad news. Like if he's double using a Star Fortress, not good. We're already lining ourselves up to win the short game because we cannot let that Incinerator overpower, so we want the tractor beam purely to make sure either we can reuse our supply depot or just punch through his outposts when the time is right. So he takes damage, he gets rid of our green base and punches to the face. Kind of surprised he didn't take a tractor beam there, knowing how good it would be for him. We just drew there. We didn't. There's no point saving it. We're gonna ally our things later based on how many scouts we've got in our hand. What we were really looking for was anything else that would allow us to maybe buy tractor beam and have some spare. But one's fine. We'll buy tractor beam. Great. Nothing good flips, and we can just hammer with the gunship. And this is a really good hand because if everything stays in our hand, we're going to be scrapping a couple things, and it does. He's not allying. This is really good for us. Again, buying will trade, I presume, to try and bulk up and also double up on the getting rid of bases theme, but it's not gonna work there because what we're going to do is we're going to discard 2 and we're going to scrap 2. We're going to buy some damage, we're going to get rid of his fighter base, and we're going to hit him into face, and we're starting now to hopefully turn a corner because we're cycling so much faster than his deck, which is massive. He does get a Star Fortress down, it allows him to cycle in. Again, looking to put down bases and draw cards, and this is really what his plan is to have just his whole deck coming through quickly because he's building up a base wall, but we're not allowing him to get that base wall in play and keep it in play. So he's buying and then topping the mech cruiser, which is great. He's getting rid of his trade, which is kind of, it may not be relevant at this stage because the game may be over by the time he cycles back around. We'll see. One of us will probably be dead, but we're gonna play the supply depot and the edging battleship. We're going to draw, and then we're going to draw into the next deck, deliberately so, I might add, because we're then going to draw the Moonworm. What we were looking for was trying to get some more business from our deck, because we did have a lot of scouts and Vipers in hand. So we're going to then edging battleship to draw 2 more, and really allow us to then scrap out. We're going to discard using the supply depot, getting damage. We're going to get that card to hand from Moonworm. We're going to buy the CEO Torres. We're going to trade in our gunship to return our supply depot. We don't get the draw from it, but we do get to buy a bit of red, discard some more for damage, blow some more stuff up with 5 more and 4 more damage respectively. We've got 42. That's getting rid of the bases, hitting him really hard, scrapping down, gaining life. And now it's not a terribly wonderful hand here, but we're poised for a catch if Slavik's not going to see a lot of his good stuff. So he does see the filter base. He's drawing an awful lot of cards now, getting the mech cruiser, which he topped in, getting life, getting more bases, more bases, more bases, getting some authority, blowing some stuff up, killing our supply depot. We're just really banal hand. It's a discard 2, which is great. We can get rid of, we're going to buy the Loyal Colony there, which kind of bounces itself. We're going to get the 6 damage to get rid of his base. And then we're just going to trust in the deck. It doesn't really deliver this time round, but he is discarding a couple. He's gone Incinerator. And again, slapping that base wall, kind of really threatening that. But Loyal Colony topped it, comes into its own, return it with itself to get that 6 damage, gets rid of Incinerator, plus we can swarm in there, and we've got enough to get rid of it. If not the blue base, at least the Incinerator. Just buy something that's damage and we can scrap it. And then we're just on. Really boring hand. Slavik again buying draw, pops up the Emperor's Dreadnought, doesn't have enough in hand obviously to buy it, or rather doesn't have enough and the yellow to get it. Little beknownst to him, we have a very sad hand, so we're just going to damage, scrap, get rid of bases, because we're still really cushioned on our life total. And this is what we bottomed, those 4 cards, we bottomed that, and Slavik's not doing well here. Gets rid of the Emperor's Dreadnought, clearly fearing it. Picks up a Stealth Tower, and then, you know, if he makes it to the next deck and he's been scrapping a bit, he puts Parasite on top again for extra value. If he ever makes it to the next deck, this is going to be really bad. But that's not going to happen, because we're going to supply depot, we're going to pop down a Moonworm, we're going to play all of our red cards, get some extra health just to really make sure of that catch, popping 7 in there. And then we're going to discard that, scrap out, and bang, 24 damage. Drop Slavik to -10, we're at 53. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a catch. And Mr. Slavik, please warm the bench for your team.